IndiaGlitz presents CII Dakshin Summit 2023. Title sponsor GT Holidays and Anuj Tiles. Powered by AF Star TMT Rebars, Spins, BB Pro Face Cream and Mira Anti-Dandruff Shampoo.
Holidays nale, adu namma GT Holidays da. GT Holidays, South India's #1 travel brand.
Anuj Tiles. ரகங்கள் பலவிதம். ஒவ்வொன்றும் உலகத்தரம். தமிழக உற்பத்தியில் Anuj Tiles.
AF Star FE 550 DTMT steel rebars. AF Star TMT steel rebars.
என்னோட மேக்கப் இல்லாமலே புதிய ஸ்பென்ஸ் பேபி ப்ரோ ஃபேஸ் கிரீம் இப்போது 3 ஷேடுகளில் ஒவ்வொரு நாளும் அழகு.
மீரா ஆன்டி டேண்ட்ரஃப் ஷாம்பு யூஸ் பண்ணு. சின்ன வெங்காயம் மற்றும் வெந்தயத்தின் சக்தியுடன் கூந்தலை ஸ்ட்ராங் ஆக்குகிறது. சின்ன வெங்காயம் டேண்ட்ரஃப்க்கு பெரிய வித்தியாசம்.
You know, the third act is somebody went on with third act. I've never heard of this third act. What is this third act? Yeah, I don't even have one act in the film. There's the third act. I think we all aim for the pocket, but we don't know how to get it out.
Before Bombay, we did not see Bombay being shot in monsoons that way.
Yeah?
Viduthalai, it took me 10 minutes watching Viduthalai. I said, this Rajiv Menon.
But you know, I was telling Rajiv there, Rajiv and I were having a chat one day, with Mani also, when Bombay was on movie again. And I was just talking to him, I said, why don't we create moments like that? They are magic of cinema that you've lived for, you've dreamt of. We don't take away from cinema today. Maybe we experience a lot, we feel a lot, we are addressing a lot of issues, but the takeaways from there that you, long after the film was over, that you took away that, you know, that feeling of love, that music kind of happening in your, those shots you can just keep watching, that whole song of Uire, I keep telling him, how did you shoot this? And I'm telling Mani the other day also, but it is so beautiful. I mean, those are the moments of Tamil cinema has given us the best musical moments. The best expressions of love. Love was actually, I always think, discovered by Tamil cinema. It is so beautiful. I think Ilayaraja, Rahman, Maniratnam were responsible for this part of the world being a lot more
about
peaceful.
Bombay, I think before Bombay, we did not see Bombay being shot in monsoons that way.
Yeah?
Monsoons became a special thing with Bombay. Because Barish ho rahi, we would be like, avoid shooting today. But to go in there and shoot and capture that monsoon, suddenly you started seeing the city you dwell in totally differently, because
I think Mani has this affinity for Bombay, because even Nayakan was set in Bombay, but shot in Madras, and Bombay was also set in Bombay, but shot here, you know, in Kampakola.
Even O Kadal Kanmani recreated Bombay here.
No, but one thing,
okay, Kanmani again.
One thing Maniratnam could not do, that Vetrimaaran did, was made Rajiv Menon act.
No. I remember doing a test for Rajiv in our terrace for Bombay, actually. He was supposed to be the hero. And in fact, he was good, but he refused.
But he's very good. He's Viduthalai. It took me 10 minutes watching Viduthalai. I said, this Rajiv Menon.
You know that I made him act. He acted in one of the short films that I did. That was the first time I think he acted.
Yeah, I saw that film.
You saw that?
I saw that
Suchitra.
Film. Yeah.
Suchitra Krishnamurthy. Anyway, okay, this question is to Balki. You know, in the late 80s and early 90s and all that, some of us actors were approached to do ads. Okay, so we went and did these ads. Today, all the actors do it. But I think Rajiv was the first person who asked me to do an ad, so I went. But before that, when ad filmmakers came to us, we found it suffocating, because about 8 people will come from the agency and they will look at the monitor or something, change that. Some of us who were born in the 60s and 70s will remember the NSC trauma that Tamil film directors have. North Arcot, South Arcot, Chengalpet. Your film has to run well there. If it doesn't run well in those 3 districts, then you're finished. And Kamal's films always shaky in NSC, and Rajini's films will always do well. You know, it was like that. Having those ad film people in the set was actually going there to North Arcot, South Arcot, Chengalpet, where they don't like your film. It was like that. So how did you survive in an industry like that? And you did so well in the ad industry. How did you do that? Because people are always looking over your shoulder, telling you what to do. How did you do that?
Because I was the one sitting over Rajiv's shoulder and kind of saying, Rajiv, let's not do this, let's do that. I was never an ad film maker, I was the ad film writer. So I was the one...
He was the agency.
I was the creative head, creative person. So so it was fun, but I've never looked at advertising any differently from films. They are just little stories that you kind of tell. And there are ways that it has to be told. Some filmmakers who don't know advertising and the purpose of advertising sometimes just love it for the sake of making a film or turning that piece of communication into a beautiful piece of film. But it's just not necessarily just a beautiful piece of film. There are little things that have to be addressed for it to become a beautiful piece of advertising. So I think you'll have to endure that. If filmmakers do come into advertising, they'll have to endure a little bit of that. There's another job to be done here besides just filmmaking. So I think it's a discipline that most filmmakers today are aware of, and they weren't then.
How did you do the shift from ads to films? For example, at my time, probably just before you started making films, when an ad filmmaker became a movie maker, it was more like, the visuals and the montages and things like that. But your content is so passionate, so intense, and so different. So how did you make the shift?
I actually didn't make the shift. I actually did the same thing in advertising. I always liked to tell stories in a way, and I didn't like to do those montages, and I didn't like to, unless the montages had a story to kind of tell. I just remember there was an ad, the very first ad that I did, I think with Rajiv, was for a tomato ketchup, and the thing was about people screaming "Aja, Aja" for the ketchup to drip out of the bottle. And the kind of intellectual discussions Rajiv and I had on that particular thing, I would never forget. I never have thought about a ketchup so much as Rajiv has made me think. So I realized there's one filmmaker who thinks more about advertising than an advertising person does. So I have never looked at advertising in that particular way. I've learned quite a bit from a lot of filmmakers on this thing. When it came to features, I've always wanted to kind of, I didn't see it very different from advertising. It's one long story with a lot of interesting moments to kind of keep it going. In fact, my first, I entered into advertising thinking it was a feature film business. So it was quite different. And they conned me to say that, no, this is something else. I mean, Mudra was, at that point in time, was used to produce Bunyad. And at the end of every Bunyad episode, there used to be this Mudra logo. And I thought, oh yeah, this is actually Ramesh Sippi's company, and let me just go meet him. So they had an ad one day saying, write in 100 words the person you are. I replied, and they selected me. I said, where is Ramesh Sippi? He said, there's no Ramesh Sippi here. This is an advertising agency, and let me tell you, I'll take you somewhere, train you, clean your mind up, and things like that. I got addicted to advertising. It was a lovely way. I always told somebody, and somebody asked me, how do you think you'll make a film? You have no film school experience, nothing. I said, no, yeah, one day I'll be walking on MG Road and somebody's going to come with a suitcase full of money and say, go make a film. It will happen to me, watch. And my first day in advertising, when I joined the agency after that training stuff, actually there was a guy with a suitcase coming into the agency. He said he wanted an ad or something like that, and the agency needed advance. He opened the stuff and took out a check and signed it. And I said, this is a lovely business. Somebody's coming with money, I just have a story to tell. I have to connect his product with my story, and there goes the check. Lovely, I don't have to go in search of anything else in the world. So for me, I think advertising, I got addicted to the fact of people are willing to pay for my stories. People are willing to pay for my stories. So that's how I got addicted to advertising. And then after 14 years, I met Ramesh Sippi, and I cursed him so much for, wasting a lot of my life. But that was the journey. So I always wanted to make feature films, so it wasn't ever a shift.
Anurag, I just read somewhere that bicycle thieves changed your life. Is that true? Sort of. Okay, we'll have this conversation later. Because I saw that film in Film Institute and I broke down. And P.C. Sriram was the one who was consoling me. I remember because I realized how serious this business is. Now, after Ponniyin Selvan, I realized how serious this business really is. So we'll have this conversation. I don't know unless somebody is interested in how. Okay. How did Victoria De Sica's Bicycle Thief changed your life?
It's very simple. In the sense, I used to see films. I used to like films, but films didn't make me feel like I want to be a filmmaker. Because I thought, when you see a movie, and I felt like the filmmakers are magicians. they do some magic, and which is why everything was so hyper real and made you feel good. But stories I used to have in my head were not hyper. They were very, very unlike the Hindi movies made at that time. When I saw the first foreign language film I actually saw was a Japanese movie called The Fugitive from the Past, Tomu Uchida. And then the festival happened where I saw Bicycle Thief, which totally destroyed me. And our shoe shine, children are watching us, the whole retrospective of DC. I felt like, what? People do make movies on stories that I also think of. It's just that realization that any story that you can think of can be a movie came from that. Because it doesn't have to follow a template. That's how it changed my life. So then I was not afraid of telling my stories, because until then I was a closet writer.
So Anurag is a rebel with many causes. I think both of you are very, very similar. I don't think you had the box office.
He has had a lot of box office success. I'm yet.
I don't think he's aiming at the box office. I have to tell you something. I went to tell a story to Shivaji Ganeshan when I was some 29 years old or something like that. And I went to tell him a story. Before I started it was called Tamilan. Later on it was taken by somebody else. Not the story, the title. He asked me in Tamil, "Nee edukku kuri vekkira? What is your target?" He asked me. So, Film Institute and everything. So I said, I'm trying to look at the sensibilities of making a film between art and commercial nonsense. When you see a big star, you say things like this. Then he said, you should aim for the pocket of the guy who's walking near a cinema theater, and he can look at the box office. So that is where you have to aim at the pocket where he keeps the money. See, that kind of a clarity is what they had those days, He was very, 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 he's probably one of the best actors in the country who did very experimental films. He didn't do box office movies, but he was very clear box office is very, very important. But both of you are not like that. I mean, when you started off.
I think by the time we started off, people stopped putting money in this pocket and they started putting the money in the back pocket. So we tried to aim at the pocket and we got to the heart.
No, I think we all aim for the pocket, but we don't know how to get it out. I think that's more the thing. And I keep saying this actually, and this is something we were just having a conversation. We saw this film, Tu Jhuti Mein Makkar. After a very long time, we went to the theatre. Seen it? And surprise, I mean, just went to a theatre after a very long time, and Gauri and I were just sitting there, we were watching this film. We were so happy by the end of the film. I mean, whatever you may, it's not the most perfect film. There's a lot of, lousy things about it. But it made us so damn happy. And I just thought, I mean, what is it that we don't know that is making us so happy? It's simple, pure cinema. It's not Hindi or South or whatever. Pure cinema, love story, yeah, with the little modern touches of today here, there. But it's the pristine love story. And it's got all the lovely songs, all the slow motions, the same heroine going to the airport and the hero has to catch her before the flight takes off. The tropes are all there. It works like magic. Sometimes I believe we as filmmakers, when we aim for the pocket, we wish they would take it out. But they want to take it out, and we're not allowing them to take it out sometimes. But because they come to cinema for us to feel wonderful about the world, or feel better about the world, or learn something new about the world, or feel something different, And I don't think when we are unsuccessful at getting the money out of the pocket, we are always kind of falling short of that. I'm not giving you that experience, which made me come to cinema. I'm not giving you that experience, and I always have felt that. And I don't know sometimes why we miss it out while making films. You can't engineer it. It has to come from your heart. You can't engineer these things. I don't think Shivaji Ganeshan knew how to do that, but he was always doing that because it became a part of him, to do that. So I think it has to come from within you. You can't plot that.
So from films, I'm going to family. So before that, I have to give you a small anecdote. We were newly married, and Mani comes up with a story, and the first person he tells is to me. So I am 90 films old and he's some 5 films old. So I've heard some 90, so into 270 stories. So I'm treating it like one story that somebody is telling me. So when he told me the story, I was like this, And he said, what? There is no excitement in you. I said, I'm just listening. So he said, I think I made a mistake. I should have married P.C. Sriram or Santosh Sivan. They always get excited when I tell them a story. And every day I have to come back to this. When I tell you a story, you're like this, like that. So I'm just imagining the scenario in your houses. You have a spouse who's a filmmaker and you have brother and sister who are all filmmakers. So when you come up with an idea or when you come up with a film, what is the reaction at home? How are you treated? Are you treated royally?
My parents still don't understand the films I make. And why I make them. So what I do is when I write a film, I send it to my filmmaker friends, my erstwhile assistants. Like Shriram has still not read the script I sent him. Like he's sitting right there. Now this will be an embarrassment for him, so he will actually probably read it today. But all my friends I send my scripts to.
Your brother and sister are filmmakers, so what happens?
That becomes pressure. They will, like, my brother is made Dabang.
And he did it well.
No. My brother's box office is combined box office of all my films. So, my brother will not give me his opinion on the script. My brother will tell me what to do. So, I will not send it to him. I send it to filmmakers, like-minded filmmakers.
Will say yes to you.
No, not say yes to me. Actually, I get a lot of criticism. I get massive criticism. Vasan Bala, Neeraj Gewan, or Varun Grove, Vikram Motwani, and I think filmmakers like Zoya, I will show my film too. I show my film the most. My films actually release in Warsaw, Ramnagar before they release in cinemas. So actually everybody sees them. So my process is that I share my scripts and films with my colleagues and my filmmakers and my peers.
How about you? Gauri is such a wonderful filmmaker.
Gauri is very critical. If Gauri likes it, she likes it very much. But if Gauri doesn't like it, then I don't know what happens.
I haven't seen the first part of that sentence ever.
Oh, okay. Same scenario.
Later part of it.
I think Gauri is very simple. She doesn't intellectualize, as he said. Yeah, nice. Let's see how big a disaster it is. Or, nice, okay, interesting. Let's see. Or she quickly makes a film like Dear Zindagi to say that I might need therapy, so let me just prepare him for that and kind of just do this. So I think there's not much. We don't have deep discussions about our films, and I think basically because I think we're quite similar. So I don't think we have too many discussions of this. So she knows what all I dream of, what are the kinds of things that I like. She knows that. Not necessarily her kind of those little bits of it, but otherwise, no. I'm not so much like Anurag. I find it a little embarrassing to share my script with a lot of people. Not so much for this thing. I don't like criticism. That's why I made Chup. I cannot stand criticism. Anybody who comes and says I'm open to criticism,
I think you should meet George Clooney for a dinner because I think he slapped a critic who didn't like his film. I think he went and slapped him or something like that. So I think I'm going to organize a dinner between the two of you.
No, seriously, I mean, I just feel that I'd like to kind of do it to the best of my ability. And I there's going to be a lot of pain anyway after the film. When people see it. I don't want to invite it before it's done. I don't want people saying this is not okay. The third act is somebody went on with third act. I've never heard of this third act. What is this third act? Yeah, I don't even have one act in the film. Where's the third act? So these kind of things I don't understand. And somebody was discussing. They were discussing about there is a conflict and it has to go up and there's a resolution. I don't know if it comes naturally into the story. There's a conflict. There is no naturally into the story. I don't know what the conflict is. And because I like writing all my films. I enjoy the process of writing, and I don't want to be criticized at the end of it. I'm very happy. I sleep very well, knowing that nobody has seen it.
So music has a massive, massive role in my life. I can't think of...
There are bad people, bad politicians, good politicians. There are bad reviewers. And
the process remains the same. Like if I don't know, if you don't know, you have to admit to yourself you don't know.
It's all about the timing. Your idea and that person's vulnerability just needs to match, and you've got to match. Or somebody who really...
IndiaGlitz presents CII Dakshin Summit 2023. Title sponsor GT Holidays and Anuj Tiles. Powered by AF Star TMT Rebars, Spins, BB Pro Face Cream and Mira Anti-Dandruff Shampoo.
Holidays nale, adu namma GT Holidays da. GT Holidays, South India's #1 travel brand.
அனுஜ் டைல்ஸ் ரகங்கள் பலவிதம் ஒவ்வொன்றும் உலகத்தரம் தமிழக உற்பத்தியில் அனுஜ் டைல்ஸ்
AF Star FE 550 DTMT steel rebars. AF Star TMT steel rebars.
என்னோட மேக்கப் லுக் மேக்கப் இல்லாமலே புதிய ஸ்பென்ஸ் பேபி ப்ரோ ஃபேஸ் கிரீம் இப்போது 3 ஷேடுகளில் ஒவ்வொரு நாளும் அழகு.
மீரா ஆன்டி டேண்ட்ரஃப் ஷாம்பு யூஸ் பண்ணு. சின்ன வெங்காயம் மற்றும் வெந்தயத்தின் சக்தியுடன் கூந்தலை ஸ்ட்ராங் ஆக்குகிறது. சின்ன வெங்காயம் டேண்ட்ரஃப்க்கு பெரிய வித்தியாசம்.